Hello, everybody. So, let's just talk about sanity and common sense here, okay? Because that's what we're all lacking currently. Well, not all of us, but a lot of people are lacking common sense. What we need to do is look at the situation we've been presented with a level of common sense and sanity of mind, okay? Because what we've been asked to do so far hasn't clearly been working, has it? All right. So following the rules of, social distancing, wearing face coverings, all these things, following these rules and upholding them and enforcing them is clearly madness because they're not doing anything for us, okay? You've got to look at it this way. Social distancing, sanitizing of your hands, wearing a face covering, all of these things. We've been doing these things now since the start. Not the face coverings, but everything else we've been doing since the start. Now, it hasn't helped. Because remember, we started doing this thing back in February, March time. It hasn't worked because lockdown happened. We came out of lockdown and then shit's still going on. So if the social distancing, the hand sanitization, the face coverings and all these other things, if these things actually worked, then we wouldn't be still faced with the current situation. Now, if your answer to that blindly is, yeah, well, some people aren't following the rules, well, I say your argument is invalid. For one reason, they're the minority. They are the minuscule minority. The people that aren't wearing face coverings, etc., are the minority. Okay? And you've got to do your own research here. And by that, I simply mean open your fucking eyes. When the next time you're in a supermarket, look around and try and count how many people aren't wearing face coverings. I would say that they are in the minority. I would also say that you could probably count those people on one hand, quite possibly two fingers. I personally don't wear a face covering in the supermarket, okay? I have my own personal reasons for this. When I am in a supermarket, I am usually the only one, okay? And if I see anybody else without a face covering, it's usually just a single person, and I'm very surprised by that. So, you tell me how a single person, perhaps two people, are able to spread a virus to hundreds of people when they're not talking to anybody because they're on their own. So their mouths are closed. They're not coughing and sneezing because, you know what, they've got no symptoms, and those are the symptoms that actually spread this shit. So they've sanitized their hands. So anything they touch it doesn't matter, right? And more to the point, everybody else in there, let's just say there's 300 people in this supermarket. The other 298 people in there are wearing face coverings. They are socially distancing. Let's not forget that the people with face masks, without the face coverings, are still socially distancing and still sanitizing their hands here. Everybody else in there, the 298 other people in that supermarket, are socially distancing, wearing face coverings, and also sanitizing their hands, okay? How in fucking God's name are two people simply not wearing face coverings spreading the virus? Ask yourself, because that, to simply say that because somebody's not wearing a face covering in a supermarket, And that's the reason why the virus is spreading, is a fucking insane comment. Because if you think about it, it can't happen. They're not fucking walking around breathing on things, are they? They're not coughing and spluttering on things. No, they're not. So how the hell is any saliva? You know, all they're doing is walking around with their mouths closed, not talking to anybody, following every other restriction going. Breathing through their nose. So does spit and saliva come out your fucking nose when you're breathing through your nose? No, it doesn't. So you tell me how a person that isn't wearing a fucking face covering is able to spread the disease, this virus, through tons and tons of people in a supermarket. Now, just remember as well, okay, the numbers going up don't really equate to the amount of people that aren't following the rules either, you know. How the hell is it possible that a minority of individuals, a very, very small minority of individuals, are able to spread a virus far and wide? You know, when they've got no symptoms, therefore they're not coughing and spluttering on anybody. They're still sanitising their hands and they're still socially distancing. How can that be the case? They're the minority, a very, very small amount of people. It can't be. If you think about it, you know, with a sane mind, you will realise that this cannot actually be. You're just saying it because you've been told that that's the case. Because the common buzz is the fact that these people that aren't following the rules, which are the minority, you're not being told that. You haven't opened your eyes enough to fucking see that, clearly. These people that aren't following the rules are spreading the virus around. No, that's not the case. It simply cannot be the case if you think about it rationally with a sane mind. Right. Tests. Let's talk about the testing, okay? The tests are being used, the testing system is being utilised by those people that are following the rules, okay? Because the people that aren't necessarily following the rules, let's just say again, the minority of population, right, that aren't particularly following all of the rules, aren't getting tested either. They're not getting tested. Let's not forget that the current state of affairs with regards to the lockdowns, that's all being pushed forward because of the cases. Okay, it's not about hospitalisations anymore. It's not about deaths anymore. Okay, because they can't use that because those have come all the way down to the point where there's no need for any lockdowns. However, it's about cases. And the minority of people aren't getting tested. Again, the minority aren't getting tested. However, the majority of people, the same people that are following all the rules, let's just reiterate the social distancing, the face coverings, the hand sanitisation, blah, blah, fucking blah. All of these other rules that have been put in place, the standing up in a restaurant and putting a fucking face covering on to walk to the toilet. However, sitting down in a restaurant to eat your food and drink fucking alcohol, you can take your mask off. All of these stupid restrictions, right? The people that are following these rules are the same, very same people that are getting tested, right? Now then, if all of these things were working, then you would expect the majority of the people that are getting that are still following these restrictions, the same people that are getting tested, you would then suspect that the numbers of cases should be very, very low. All right? Because surely the people that are following the rules wouldn't have any COVID test positive. Surely. Let's just remember, the people that aren't necessarily following all of the guidelines aren't getting tested, so these numbers cannot come from those people. The numbers of positive tests are coming from those people that are following the guidelines. So if all these guidelines work, how can these numbers still be going up? Think about it with a sane mind. Don't think about all the shit you've been told on the news. Don't think about all the shit you've been told by all of these crappy memes on Facebook. Think about it yourself. How can a minority spread a virus through all of these restrictions that are supposed to work? And how can the testing be coming back positive on people that are following the rules strictly if they work? Let's just say none of it works and we're all still here. If by following social distancing, by sanitising your hands and by wearing face coverings and doing all the other bollocks that we've been told to do, if by doing all of that isn't working, then why are you still doing it? Why are you forcing other people to do it? Why are you still complaining at other people when they don't? Why? Because you're afraid and you want other people to be afraid too? Because that makes you feel better about being afraid. Is that what it is? Ask yourself honestly, because it's getting fucking ridiculous and it's starting to take the piss. Because in a sane mind, okay, you would say, well, why am I doing it if it's not working? And why am I fucking forcing other people to do it? You'd say, well, I'm not doing it then, because what's the fucking point? You don't do things that don't work. Okay? It's as simple as that. On the other hand, if all of these all of these measures being put in place, these ridiculous, preposterous fucking measures being put in place were actually working, and the numbers, the cases and all the other things were coming down, then you'd have a leg to stand on. You'd be able to say, oh, well, we fucking told you so, but everybody's doing it and the numbers are going up. And when they want to blame it on someone, who do they blame it on? Let's just look at that. Who do they blame it on? The people that you are already predisposed to perceive as being irresponsible. So they say, oh, yeah, it's coming from the universities. Because when you think of uni students, what do you think? Right now, what are you thinking when you think of uni students? And I guarantee you're thinking about them going out, getting pissed up, being all over each other, snogging, shagging, all that other kind of stuff. Being irresponsible. Okay? Because that's what students are. They get a student loan and they go and blow it all on fucking ale and weed, and they get fucking hammered and they fucking shag all everybody, you know, each other, and, you know, they pass on STDs, they're fucking always out on the piss, they don't ever get their work done, they're a bunch of fucking idiots. That's what you fucking think, right? So when someone says to you, oh, well, it's the uni students that are spreading it, you can believe it. Not only that, right? It cements in your fucking subconscious that those people spreading it are irresponsible. How many times a day do you think to yourself, if you're a person watching this video that is following the rules, who sees somebody who isn't necessarily following the guidelines, and you think, oh, they're irresponsible? There you go. It's because you've been told subconsciously that it's irresponsible people that are spreading it. When all of these silly pictures came out, right, of people flocking to the beaches, and I will tell you this, I went to a few beaches when that was going on, because I thought, well, I need to see this for myself. And they were deserted, okay? Even common beaches that you would expect everybody to go to, okay? Like the East Coast in England, Skegness, etc. Barren, deserted, nobody there, okay? They're making you think that people are irresponsible because, yes, flocking to the beaches in those kind of numbers when there's a pandemic and shit is irresponsible, but that's what they're trying to get you to think. So that when you see somebody, you're going to go, oh, well, they're irresponsible. They're not putting my health first. I'm putting their health first by doing all of this shit that isn't fucking working. It's ridiculous, man. And it's reaching the point of no return, okay? In fact, I dare say we've gone past it. Because people are upholding these rules and they make no sense. And that goes to show that the brainwashing of society has been successful. Because let's face it, everybody's been brainwashed. Everybody's been put under a massive amount of stress, pressure and fear. And under that pressure and stress and fear, people have been told things which goes into your subconscious, and it then basically rewrites how you act. It's a standard brainwashing control technique. It's how you manipulate and control people. Look into things like MK Ultra, okay? It's a mind control operation that happened and is still happening, probably under an assumed a different name now. But it's been proven. I say it's been proven. It's come out as being fact, even though they denied it at the time. That this thing actually is a truth and it happened. Okay, there's many documents online through the Freedom of Information Act on the MK Ultra project, where they manipulated people and controlled their minds through brainwashing and such like. You know, you see things like, and I won't go into that, okay, but you should look that up yourself. You see films like The Bourne Identity. In the final one, the Bourne, what was it? The Bourne Identity, the Bourne Ultimatum, that was it, and the Bourne Supremacy. I think it was the Ultimatum, the third one, which is where you actually see what he went through, which was being half drowned and all of that kind of stuff. And you see, that's how they reprogram you. Okay, they put you under an amount of stress, fear. Okay, they make you think you're going to die. So you reach this point of, I don't know for another word, primality. Okay, you reach your base core of emotion, and at that point you're able to be rewritten. Okay, and that's what's happened. But you see, they can't do it on an individual level to people. So to do it en masse, to do it to the mass population, they have to do it through the tools that they have. And what tools have they got? The television. Okay, the television. What they do is through the television, knowing that everybody sits on their sofas staring at that big fucking box in the corner, which are now getting bigger and bigger, by the way, of course. You know, these things are getting bigger and bigger, so you can't not see it. They put through this this television messages, and they basically use their media formats to put out this doctrine, to put out this paradigm. Okay, so now people are fucking living in a world of fear because they're being told to be afraid en masse, because every single television in everybody's home is telling them the same story, so now everybody's afraid. If no one had a television, how would they get it out? By letter? But you see, they're just using the tools that they've got in front of them, and yeah, they've been using these things for a very, very long time to shape society, to basically make you feel a certain way about a certain thing. Films, TV shows, the news, all these things, they're all connected to basically making you have a programmed predisposition towards any given subject. Like things like the UFO subject. All these films are about evil UFOs, evil extraterrestrials flying around in UFOs that have got horrible weapons that are going to kill everyone. Just think about it for a minute. If extraterrestrials were going to come down and fucking shoot everybody to death with ray guns, they'd have done it before now, wouldn't they? So it's just making you afraid. They make you think that if there was a meteorite coming towards Earth, oh, there's nothing to worry about because Bruce Willis is going to go and jump on a fucking spaceship and go and cut it in half with a fucking drill. Now, this is obviously irrelevant, but it makes a point, doesn't it? Because ultimately what they do is they design the social system. They design the structure of society through the television. And that's what they've done with all of this COVID. Excuse me. What they did was, at the start, they put us under a mass amount of fear. They generated this fear. They basically just got everybody really good and terrified, bringing people down to that base primal level of fight or flight. And then they basically start to brainwash you and tell you how you now need to act. It's a very simple thing, okay? But everybody's fallen for it because they don't know that this is what's going on. People don't know that this is what's happening, so therefore they fall for it. And that's what I'm trying to do here, is tell people what's been going on. Because all you got to do is open your eyes and you can see the bugger. All right? You don't need to be thinking along the lines of what you would do or what you wouldn't do. The people that are out there that are doing this to you have a different type of mind to yours. So therefore you need to try and think like them in order to understand what it is they're doing. Most people are not psychopaths. Okay? That's why you can't understand why a psychopath does what a psychopath does. And in your mind of being a good person, you rationalize it, and by doing so, it basically then comes to the point where, because you can't comprehend it, you don't believe it. Your brain just says, well, no, I can't deal with that, so we'll just fucking put it to the side and we'll bury our head in the sand and carry on doing what we're doing. But I'm telling you now, okay, the only, in my opinion, the only reason people are acting the way they're acting and upholding these silly rules against each other when they make no sense and benefit nobody other than the oligarchy is because there has been a mass hypnosis, there has been a mass brainwashing that has taken place, and that is why people are not thinking sanely or rationally about the situation. Okay? In my opinion, it's the only reason for it. Because, try and explain it another way. Try and think about it. Think about why you are trying to uphold these rules. Why? Oh, because I've been told. But when you think about the rules and you think about how they make no sense, and then you find contradictions, and you realise that these rules that have been imposed upon people clearly make no difference because the cases are still going up to warrant a second lockdown. Why on earth are you still doing them? Why on earth are you still telling other people to do it? Because you're being told to. Think about it, for crying out loud. Ask yourself the question, please. Just think about the rules. And if they don't make sense, ask yourself, why on earth are you still following them? Because questioning yourself here is the biggest and most important thing that you need to be doing. That's what you've got to be doing right now. Because if you don't question yourself and you don't keep yourself in check and try and think a bit more rationally, then we're going to end up in a very, very dark world. You know, in the supermarkets at the minute, certain items are being wrapped up because they've been deemed non-essential. Now, last year, if you walked into a supermarket and all of this shit was going on, and there was fucking kids' clothes and DVDs and all of those other things being wrapped up in cellophane, and they're saying, oh no, they're non-essential, you can't buy them, you'd have gone, fuck off. What are you fucking talking about? I want season 7 of Game of Thrones, and I'm going to buy it. Maybe not season 7, eh? Season 6, definitely. But you know what I'm talking about, right? You'd walk up to it and you'd say, I'm buying some children's clothes because my child needs a fucking jumper, etc., etc. But because all of the shit that's been going on in this little tiptoe, more and more restrictions have taken place and been imposed. People are just readily accepting. All right, well, yeah, you can't buy kids' clothes anymore because they're non-essential. Why? Why are they non-essential? Ask yourself, man. And if you come to the conclusion that it makes no sense, why on earth are you following the rules? Are you scared? So am I. But I'm going to do something about it. That's the difference, you know. You got to do something about it, or be blamed, basically. Be to blame for the shit world that we're going to end up in. Because that's what's going to happen. People are going to end up in a really, really bad world of restrictions, restrictions, restrictions for no reason. Because you aren't questioning them. Because you aren't thinking rationally about it. Okay? You're not getting up in the morning and thinking, why can't I see my fucking parents? Why can't I see my, my brothers and sisters? Because they live in a different house to me. But I can go to work and spend time with all these other people that live in a different house to me. Oh, because I'm wearing a face covering and stuff at work. Right. Well, why can't I wear a face covering with my parents and stuff? And my family, my brothers and sisters, if it works? Ask yourself the question. Because it needs to be asked. It's about control. This is about nothing other than control of society. This is about how far can we push society? How much control can we have? And they're getting it. They're controlling you. These people who are squandering the rules themselves, giving themselves pay rises, accidentally on purpose losing £3 billion and all these other things, okay? I don't want to go through the whole list. But all of these people that are absolutely unfit, unworthy to manage a checkbook, let alone the fucking country's finances, and the population, the people themselves. These people that are unfit to do that are squandering the rules themselves, but yet telling you to follow them. Why are you following the rules? It makes no sense, man. None of it makes any sense. So you have to question it. And when you come across people that do question these things, I think it's right not to beat them down for questioning it, because it's, in my opinion, what everybody ought to be doing. Absolutely everybody ought to be questioning this. Because if we don't, we're playing into the hands, okay, of these fucking very clever idiots, okay? And that sounds like a paradox, okay, which it is. But they're not idiots. They're very clever, but they're pretending to be idiots to get away with acting fucking idiotically. All right? But if you look at the way this has gone from start to now, it's been about control. It's been about taking away your rights. It's been about taking away your human rights to choose. And that's where we're headed, into that type of world, unless you start to question yourself. When you walk into a supermarket, okay, and you're being told for no fucking sane reason on earth that you can't buy a fucking sweatshirt for your little kid, especially when it's winter, especially when it's winter, okay, and you can't buy new clothes, warm clothes for your children, for any sane reason whatsoever, you are being, for no sane reason whatsoever, are you being told When you're not questioning that, then you're fucking part of the problem, mate. All right, that's it. End of. So just remember, in summary, because this is half an hour now, but in summary, we've got some people following the rules, well, most people following the rules, and a minority. In fact, let's use my little finger, because that's the minority, that aren't. The cases are still going up, regardless of all the measures that are apparently supposed to work. The cases can't be going up because of those that aren't following the rules, because they're the minority. And how can a very, very small minority of people spread like wildfire amongst a population of people that are following rules that apparently work? On top of that, the people that are getting tested, which are what these numbers are based on, are the people getting tested that are following the rules. So therefore, quite clearly, the rules that you're following aren't working. We know now, okay, by giving it, if you look at the timeline, that all of this stuff is being about control and power. The way they've implemented this control and power is through the tools that they use to implement it all the time, which is through the television, through the radio, through adverts, through signs everywhere. It's fear control, okay? They impose fear in order to then basically tell you how not to be afraid when they're the ones putting you in fear in the first place. So that's what's going on, people. This is my opinion. I understand it's not everybody's, but I dare say the more of you start to think rationally with a sane mind, the more people will be on my side of the fence. And let's just say this as a final statement. This world is ours. Unless we take it back, unless we take it for ourselves, the masses, unless we unite and take it back, we're just going to basically be herded like cattle and sent to the bleeding abattoir. It's about control. How do you control the masses? You get them scared. And then you tell them how not to be scared. You create fear here. And you create the solution here. And people just fall in line. The people police each other through fear. And ultimately, what you've got is a situation, it's a civilization, quote unquote, that governs itself through misleading information, whilst the people at the top of the tree get fat and live off of you. Simple as that. Open your fucking eyes, people. And I truly hope this makes a difference.